Hey, this is Kevin from Kevin's Micro Fleet. Today, I've got a Micro Galaxy Squadron review. We're going to be taking a look at the Jazwares Vault exclusive, the ATTE 104th Battalion. We're going to go ahead and take a look at the figures of the vehicle, the packaging. We'll do some measurements. We'll do a comparison. Let's go ahead and dive into the review. So let's go ahead and start here with the packaging. So first of all, this comes in this shipper box here, which says Jazwares Vault on it. It's got Jazwares Vault there on the top, and that's basically all that there is to it. There are some pieces of tape to cut here on the top, so we go ahead and do that. It does come with some cardboard protectors here for this interior box, which is a nice touch to make sure that it stays in good condition. So now I was able to get the interior box out, and so we can see here on the front, it's got a really cool image of the ATTE. It says Star Wars on it, and then it's got another image of it there on the back. Now to open this thing up, there is no tape on this, but you go ahead and open that up, and right away you see this really cool Star Wars image. It's got this matte finish on it, and you get a little bit of detailing there from whatever the artwork is on it. So now let's go ahead and bring this guy out. Oh wow. And here is what the actual box looks like. And this thing looks really, really nice up close. We'll start here with the packaging. Again, amazing image here on the front of the box to be able to show this ATTE on a planet with some really vibrant green and purple background. And so if we tip this up just a little bit, because you really need to see this art, man, that looks so cool with the scene in the background, and then these plants and everything, and the foliage on it looks really, really cool. But you also have on here on the front, you've got the ATTE 104th Battalion, LE 0013. Then you have your Vault sticker here. This is one of 3,000, and then Clone Wars, the media source it comes from. So again, you got Star Wars Micro Galaxy Squadron there on the top. As we spin this thing to the side, this is the actual item as we slide it out of the sleeve here in just a second. Here is the back of the box, so this way you get a chance to see all of the different features of this vehicle. You've got your blueprint cutout if you want to be able to save that, and then you've got all of, again, the different features as well as all of the different figures that you can fit inside of it. And then on the bottom, there is nothing there. So now let's go ahead and slide this thing out of the sleeve. And there it is. Now, right away, just the packaging on this is just very, very well done. Again, being able to showcase all the figures, the ATTE, the BARC speeder that it comes with. It still has the Vault 1 of 3,000 sticker on there. So if you wanted to keep it in the sleeve or take it out, you can do it either way. And then as we turn this thing around to the back, this is a really cool part of this. So you can see this awesome image here on the back. Now, this is something that actually can work kind of like a light box. So if you put a light inside of it, which I'll show here in a little bit, it lights up and it creates this really striking background with the vehicle in front of it. So now let's go ahead and take this thing out of the package. So here is the insert of the package, and this is actually really cool. You've got a couple laser blasts in there, but you have this big window in there, which is really designed to be used with the background image here on the back of the box. So one thing that you could potentially do is you could kind of set this down like that just behind it, and then you could go ahead and light it up. Although I don't believe it's designed to be that way. It should just be either with the insert or you take it out like that and then you have the package that way. Now I have a light on in the box, so let's go ahead and I'm going to turn down my lights here so that way we get a chance to see what it looks like. And there it is with the light inside the box, and man, that thing looks so cool. So if you did have this now, it is completely dark in this room other than that light that's showing inside of it. And the camera does help to make this look a little bit better, but if you had a brighter light that was inside the packaging, that's really what this is designed for, to be able to help make the background pop. And then obviously you'll have your ATTE sitting in front of it, but very, very cool design. I love that they're doing this now with some of their packaging. So we'll start here with the accessories. So this does come with some figures, which we'll take a look at here in a second. And then it also does have this BARC speeder with a sidecar. And it does have this flight stand. This is actually in the package, in the blister underneath the ATTE. So it does have a peg here on the side if you wanted to go ahead and attach the BARC speeder onto there to be able to zoom it around. And as you can see, my BARC speeder unfortunately got a little bit mangled up here in the packaging. It is a soft, like rubbery plastic type of a material. And so it can have that happen occasionally. With a little bit of heat, that can end up softening, and then you can put it in the position that it needs to be in. But the one cool thing about this BARC speeder, so this is a similar design to like we're seeing with the other sidecar versions, which I'll show here in just a second. But it does have this really cool metallic silver on the handlebars, as well as the guns and the foot pedals, which looks really, really sweet. And then the sidecar actually can come off. So you can see there is a little peg there on that if you wanted to flip the sidecar around backwards. So it does work this way in some of the episodes where you'll actually see that that sidecar is turned around backwards to shoot anybody that's coming up behind. So let's go ahead and compare this really quick. I want to show this next to some of the other BARC speeders that we have, especially with the sidecar on it. And so here is our Rex Scout class. This was from series 6, 7, 5, something like that. And so you can see the design again is pretty much the same with all of the markings and everything that are on it. Just obviously a difference in color, maybe a little bit of a difference there in the marking. This one has that little red piece there on the top and the blue does not. But generally speaking, relatively close. And then obviously the difference in the metallic cover there of the metallic color of the handlebar, and then also the foot pedals. Your figures come in this little package here. And so you can see we've got Plo Koon, and then we have some Phase 2 clone troopers, which is pretty cool. Go ahead and pull back on this tab here. You've got this blueprint on the back. Pull that back, and then go ahead and open that up, and then all of your figures will come out. So here is your Plo Koon. On the left side, I've got the rare version from the Jedi Starfighter, and then we obviously now have our 104th version here on the right. And there are some very minor differences here in the paint application. So you can see the mask there on the face looks slightly different in the color. And then also on his gauntlets there, he's got a little bit of extra of that dark silver color right there. And then his belt, he actually has some silver there on his belt, and it's a slightly different color as well. You can also see that his robe is more of a matte finish than the rare version, which is much more glossy. As we turn him around to the back, there's nothing really that different there on the back other than what we're seeing from the front. And so those are your couple minor differences. That's great to see though, even though they're relatively small, this does make it easy to identify that this figure is different than the other version of the figure that we got. Now we'll take a look at the clones. So starting from left to right, the first thing I wanted to show here is actually our Series 1 Phase 1 clone from Jazwares. Then we've got all of our Wolfpack figures here. We've got our Phase 2 Rex, and then we have a pilot here, Warthog. And I wanted to show that Phase 1 clone just to show the quality improvement in the paint detailing that Jazwares has found here as they've continued on with this line. Pretty amazing to see the quality of detail there on the Wolfpack's helmets, not just the top of their helmets, but then as we turn them to the side, they actually have that Wolfpack logo on the side of their shoulder. You can see that one that's closest to us just missed in terms of where that got applied. But man, incredible details that they have on all of these figures. Here's what they look like from the back. So there is some paint application there on the back of the knees, as well as the back of the ankles. I mean, it just looks really, really good. They did a fantastic job here with this vault set and getting these figures to have a ton of detail on them at an extremely small scale. It's really hard to put into words how incredibly awesome this ATTE is. This is one of the coolest vehicles that Jazwares has made, just with all of the different play features to it and the versatility, which we're going to take a look at here in just a minute. But the quality of the paint application on something that's this scale and this size, and the detail that they got is just amazing. So obviously you can see here from the side, you've got your Republic logo on there, as well as you have this really cool looking mouth, kind of like we see on the Munilus 10 gunship. And then all of the other detailing here on the legs, all over the back. You've got this really cool looking silver here for these ball turrets that are on the back as well. Turn this to the side, you can see more. Then you have that really cool looking color. This is like a rubbery type of a material to allow the mechanism that makes this thing really move. And then here is what it looks like from the front. So you have these guns here on the front that have the little green ring around the bottom of them, which looks really cool. And then you have this awesome looking logo right there on the side of the vehicle, which is something that when I originally saw the pictures of this, one, it didn't have this piece on here, this mouthpiece, and it definitely didn't have that little logo on there. So incredible that they put that on there. Again, at this scale is so awesome. You've got the cool looking silver here. You actually have almost like a fade to that, like the gun has been firing and it's kind of burned a little bit, which looks really good. You've got different color seat here on the top. And again, it's hard, without showing this as a comparison to the standard ATTE, which I'll show here in just a minute, it's really hard to get a good grasp on how much detail they put into the paint application on this. Now, we're not done yet because we're going to walk through the features of this as well as some of the paint application as we go with this thing from back to front. So we have these ball turrets here, which can move around quite a bit on both the top and the bottom. And again, very cool paint application there. Your gun on the top here will turn. So it'll turn basically around that far. And then it does have a swivel on this to be able to move that up and down. You have to turn this a little bit to the side to be able to pop open the cockpit. And so there is the cockpit open. And again, you have painted seats in there. And this was something I thought was so cool, is they actually have some lights there on the controls that would go in between the figure's feet, which is such a cool feature for them to add. I mean, that's something you really don't need to add, but is such an awesome touch. Now, this thing also has some opening compartments here on the sides. So to open these up, there is a little piece right here and a little piece there to pop loose. And then the whole side comes off to be able to expose some more seating on the inside. And again, incredible paint application. You've got some silver on here. All the seats are different colors. You got some black things there on the side. I mean, this thing looks really, really nice. And then also, as we come around to this side, the same panel removes. So pull up on that, go ahead and take that off. And now you have both sides to be able to seat more troopers in there if you wanted to, and do what you will with it. As we keep going around here to the back, so we do have a back here that removes, so you can see the little tabs right there. So we can pull up on those and on both sides. And then this whole back piece comes off. And here is the inside of these pieces. So, I mean, they're putting paint on the inside of that, which is really cool. And look at all the detail that they have on it as well. So anyways, then you have, again, some silver here. You've got this cool kind of like brownish gray paint on there. And then this thing is awesome. So I saw some images of this and it really doesn't do it justice. This looks so cool with this black and yellow on here, like a caution thing. And this is actually an elevator which will pop loose and slide down. Let's see if I can get this thing to go all the way and keep going. it continues down a little bit further. It'll go all the way down to the bottom of that. There you go. All the way down to there, basically down to the ground. And you're able to put a BARC speeder on here. So you can go ahead and just connect this guy on here. And that's stored on there to be able to have that elevator come down, and then the elevator will go back up. It's a little bit tricky to work, but... And now the elevator's back up in there, and there you go. You got a couple seats in here for a couple extra figures, and then you also have these ball turrets here that move as well. Some of the these ball turret guns are just a little more limited depending on where they are on the actual vehicle. But this is what it looks like where it's all disassembled like this with all these different play areas, which again is just really, really cool. Another major feature to this is the articulation of this, and it's got quite a bit of articulation. So if we go with the feet first, so your front legs, it's got this cool ratcheting system on there to be able to move the legs around. That's super helpful for being able to pose this in different positions. You also have some movement there at the ankle. On the middle leg here, you have some movement there as well. You also have some movement at the ankle. And then on the back leg, you do have movement at this joint up here, call that like the hip joint. The knee joint doesn't move, but the ankle joint does move. So quite a bit of articulation. You can pose this thing into lots of different positions. And then the other piece of this that's really cool is that this whole thing will be able to move like that. So you can put this in, again, tons of different poses in order to be able to move this thing around. And it does have a little bit of movement to the side, one way or the other. So pretty amazing. I mean, this is such a great toy, and they did a very good job, especially with this version of it and being able to do premium deco on it. I'm super excited for all the premium deco options that they have as Vault exclusives. To measure this thing out, if we're looking at this from front to back, from the one end of the laser cannon all the way out to the very end, it's about 10.5 inches. And then if we're looking at it side to side, I'd call that 6 3/4 inches, maybe 6.5 inches from one end of the foot to the other. And then the height of this guy is about 5 1/4 inches. Let's go ahead and compare the two ATTEs. So we've got our 104th, and then obviously just our standard version. And again, pretty amazing to see now that you can see them right next to one another, the difference in the color of the plastic, as well as all of the difference in paint application with the blue, the gray panels, the panels here that are on the side of the leg, the difference in the color of the actual connector piece there in the middle. And so you can see obviously like a red versus the gray. There's a difference in the tint there also of the cockpit window. This one's kind of this yellowish one, and this is much more dark. As we open up the cockpits, here is the difference in your cockpits. So you can see again, standard ATTE, really no detailing there on the interior other than just a molded seat versus this 104th version that has a lot going on. As we look at the side panel difference, so there is your standard version. Again, no paint application there on the interior of it, just has the seats in there. It does have all of the same exact mold. The mold is not different, but obviously just all of the paint application is totally different. Turn this thing around to the back. You can see what that looks like. So there's a little bit of that silver paint application on here as well as on the legs, which looks pretty nice. And still, I'd say that the standard version of the ATTE is very nice. This 104th version just has a lot more going on. And then here is what the back looks like. Again, totally different there in terms of the application. And I mean, man, it's kind of hard to beat this one over here in terms of how cool it is and just the quality of the paint application and the playability of it, just because it's not going to be just a great toy to be able to play with, but this will also be awesome to be able to display. To insert the figures in here, so the ones that go on the side are pretty easy. You just kind of bend them at the legs and then slide them in. For your cockpit ones, you'll be able to just go ahead and slide their feet in right below the control. Do this one here as well. And then if we want to put one up here on that top gunner position, then we can go ahead and just, again, slide his feet under there. There is like a little piece in there to be able to hold the legs straighter. So now he's on there and ready to fire. And then if we go ahead and add in our Plo Koon, so if he wants to sit in here with his other phase 1 clone buddy, we can go ahead and slide him in there as well. And so I've got a couple other clones in here to try to outfit this a little bit more. I mean, obviously having this thing totally outfitted with the BARC speeder as well as all of the other clones that we've got, just being able to kind of pop them all in there, that's pretty sweet. So here is our BARC with the sidecar. Go ahead and fit him in there. And now this thing is pretty much ready for battle. One of the awesome things that Jazwares is doing is creating these little sublines of items where you can kind of combine them all together. And now we have this here, which is kind of crazy, for Plo Koon. So we've got our 104th Battalion ATTE, we've got Plo Koon's Jedi Starfighter, and then we have Plo's Bros LAAT from the Grand Army of the Republic Battle Pack that was released a while back. Those two are actually on my custom 3D printed flight stands. You can find links for those in the description below. But man, it is so cool to be able to see these things all together, where you're looking at the blues generally match, which is really cool. And just the overall theme looks amazing. You can be able to kind of fly these guys all together. We can bank our LAAT so that he's kind of flying in here at an angle, getting ready to attack somebody. I mean, just so cool. I mean, I love what Jazwares is doing with this. I hope they continue some of these sublines and continuing to expand the universe where you can combine different items from different series to make some type of diorama or placing. Now that wraps up our review. If you like this, please go ahead and like and subscribe. Check out all the links I have in the description below for where to pick this up, as well as other different sites like my Etsy page, Instagram, and Facebook. Thanks everybody for tuning in. I look forward to catching everybody on the next review.